Go. Hi, my name is Lyric, and today we're going to be starting a new series on this channel. That is right. We're going to be reacting to The Conspiracy Theory Iceberg by Wendigoon. Now, preface this, I have seen this before, but I watched them as they came out. And the last one hasn't came out for a while now, so I haven't seen it in a while. And I'm going to provide insight on each one of them, of what I think about them as he explains them. And we're going to be reacting the entire iceberg, every single one of them, eventually. And I'm eventually going to compile it into one video of a 10-hour reaction video. That's right. Well, actually, longer than 10 hours, because the conspiracy theory iceberg in general is like 10 hours. And let's say I even add like 10% more content. That's an extra hour of content I'm adding. So let's see how it goes. We're watching the entire conspiracy theory iceberg. We're starting off with part 1. So, I think this is interesting. I'm a big fan of Wendigoon. He is one of my favorite YouTubers ever. So, I can't wait to get into this, man. Let's get on. The Conspiracy Theory Iceberg, Part 1. Let's go, man. This is the most simple part, 60 minutes long. Let's go.
Boy, am I excited. There's been this image floating around for a while called the Iceberg Conspiracy List. And for those of you that don't know, it is a
Hold on, let me turn the audio up for you guys a bit.
picture of an iceberg.
If you don't turn the audio up, bro.
And on it, there are several separate tiers that gauge conspiracy theories from how known they are to how unknown they are. I'll actually throw it up now so you can look at it. As you can see, it is huge. There are several various...
This is still the biggest iceberg chart I've ever seen. I've never seen an iceberg chart. I watch a lot of iceberg videos. Some of my favorite content on YouTube because I like long-form content. As you can probably tell by the links to a lot of the videos on my channel. But, yeah, this is by far the biggest iceberg I've ever seen, by far.
variations, but I think this one is the best, not only because of the...
You want to know a fun fact about Wendigoon, by the way? This is a fun fact. The first video here, Conspiracy Theory Iceberg Part 1, came out on my birthday. That's right. This came out on my birthday, 2020. My 14th birthday, so it was meant to be that that I was gonna react to this eventually. And secondly, I subscribed to Wendigoon when he had 2,000 subscribers. I believe he was about midway through the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg. He had 2,000 subscribers, and I subscribed to him when I was looking for iceberg content on conspiracy theories. And I found his newest part, and I went, oh, this is a series. Let me go back to the first part, and this is the first video I watched of him, and I instantly got hooked, and I started subscribing to him. I did subscribe to him. And then I've just loved him ever since. I've just watched him grow into this massive YouTuber. So I think that's really cool that some YouTuber that I subscribed to at 2,000 subs now became this big thing, which I really like. So let's go back. So I like going back to the root here. It doesn't even have a microphone in this clip, not even a camera. So just think that when he was making this video, he had 4 times the subscribers I have. Well, actually, no, he had less, because I subscribed midway through the Conspiracy Iceberg. He had 2,000 subs. He probably had a similar amount of subs that I had at this point, which is insane. So, yeah, let's just start into iceberg, bro.
It's the most well structured, with different tiers and specifics for what each tier means, but it also is the most comprehensive. As I tried to find research for this, I'm telling you there was none. Like, no one had done a full breakdown of it. There's a couple people who did 1 or 2, and then after researching it, people were saying that everyone who did full reviews of it was having their videos taken down. So, we'll see what happens. I decided, who better to do it than me? Technically a lot of people. That doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is, because this thing is huge, every one of these phrases can lead you down an entire rabbit hole of research and investigation. Some of them are well-known stuff like UFOs or Bigfoot, but as you get into some of these later ones, it gets creepy. Like, you drag over some pretty scary ones like human flesh markets or children trapped in floors and things such as. But once you get...
This is one of the most interesting things. I love learning about stuff like this. It's so interesting, even if I don't necessarily believe a lot of it.
God's ego death, or...
That's tier 10.
The universe was created as a test, and things like that, that have, like, these whole networks and stories behind them.
Yeah.
That just aren't commonly known. And I'll go ahead and say right now, none of what I'm talking about means I believe it, per se. I'm simply conveying what the conspiracy is because I think it's cool, and some of these are awesome. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to do a quick run-through of the Tier 1, and then the next video will be Tier 2, and etc. Like I said, the further you go down, the more crazy they get, so this one's pretty much to whet your appetite. Although there is a lot of cool stuff at this tier that I learned in research for this video. Some of the ones we'll get into in later videos are absolutely crazy, like the City of Broken Candles, or the Valley of Headless Men, and things such as. But, like I said, I'm going to go through the entire chart, so we're starting with Tier 1. The title and description for Tier 1 is Crazy Head. The description reads, mainstream conspiracies and unsolved mysteries. Most of this stuff is well documented and known to a good portion of the Western citizens. A lot of common theories may be grouped in broader terms, or may not even appear on the chart at all considering their meaning and popularity.
Right.
Also, quick disclaimer on this first
Yeah, this first two is going to be very general ones.
But some of these
but it's still very
are
interesting.
so well known, or you've heard so many times, I'm not even going to cover them, like fake news, or Bigfoot, or UFOs. Like, we all get it. I don't need to go into detail about them. But without further ado, let's get into this, and thank you for watching. First up, we have Big Pharma. Most of you know about this. It's pretty much just a huge encompassing theory that pharmaceutical companies suppress vaccines and cures that are made in order to make money off of treatment. Next, we have Atlantis.
That one, I think that might be true to a certain extent. I don't think it's the one where, like, oh, all doctors are lying to you. Like, obviously that's not true. But, like, I feel like there is probably some things that are being hidden for... I wouldn't be surprised, because it's a massive industry. It creates so much money. And there's some people who are not have good morals in the world who would like to have that money. So, I wouldn't be shocked by it, if that's true to a certain extent. To a certain extent, that one.
Original records of Atlantis date back to Greek times, I believe, between Sparta and Athens, of a continent located somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. And since they couldn't have got to North America, that would require there to be something in between that has since disappeared or sank. Next up, we have one of the first ones that I didn't know about until getting into this.
I don't really have insight on that one, not gonna lie.
Nostradamus was an old philosopher who came up with several of the constellations and discovering the night sky, and it is believed that several of his predictions came true later, such as World War II and the Great London Fire. However, from doing my own research, this is kind of BS because, like, for example, the London Fire, he said that there would be bad things happening in London, and then a bad thing happened in London. So, yeah.
He did the psychic tactic of just saying something that's general enough so if something happens, you can go, oh. It was that, he guessed it.
Most of you are
Mandela effect, very popular.
It essentially says that there are parallel universes that cross over with each other in minor ways.
I have an NBA Mandela effect, alright? I mainly do NBA on my channel, alright? And I have an NBA Mandela effect for those of you who watch my NBA content, alright? Joel Embiid, alright? Was his name always spelled with two I's? I swear to God. His name has always been one I. I swear it's always be E-M-B-I-D. I've always spelled it like that. I've always seen people spell it like that. I never seen anyone have two I's. And then suddenly I was doing a Sporkle quiz, and I realized that Joel Embiid has two I's in it now. It's now Joel Embiid, E-M-B-I-I-D. And I looked everywhere to see if anyone was talking about this. No one's talking about this. Has his name always had two I's? Why have I never remembered this? I swear his name had one I. That's a Mandela effect for me, personally. Also, Cheez-Its. You could have swore it was I-T-Z. Cheez-Its, not Cheez-It.
That we're not aware of. For example, those who remember the Bernstein Bears from their childhood may be surprised to know that it's actually the Bernstein Bears, and that several discrepancies like that exist. Like the Monopoly Man has no monocle, and yada yada yada. This is a cool one. It's very deep. It goes on for itself. So if you're interested, check it out. Next is Malaysian Flight 370, which disappeared somewhere over the Indian Ocean. The conspiracy states that there is a U.S. military base there, and more than likely the plane was either hijacked and flying towards it, or flew too close to it, to which the U.S. military shot it down and covered up all evidence of it. Although, practically, I feel that there's a lot of moving parts in that couldn't be kept secret for so long. The GMO...
I've seen the... I should do let me know reactions. I've seen his video on that. I don't know what happened. I don't think I can think of any explanation for Malaysia Airlines. There's really no explanation I can think of. Because I watched that entire video. Nothing makes sense. I'm going to react to that. I'm putting that on the list of the let me know so I can comment on that. Because there's no explanation that makes any sense. The military explanation, if anything, is one of the ones that kind of makes the most sense. But also, it looks like a hijacking. But at the same time, if there's a hijacking, where the hell's the plane? And like, did they have the correct? Were they looking in the correct spot? Is it in a different location? Like, did they have the place where the plane crashed all wrong? Did fucking aliens come in or something? I have no idea. It's insane.
I feel that there's a lot of moving parts in that couldn't be kept secret for so long. The GMO conspiracy regards GMOs that are in several foods, from fast food and markets and things such as, which are used in this conspiracy to cause food shortages and hunger in people. So essentially, the whole get the customer addicted idea. Orbs is.
I don't doubt that they put stuff in food to make it more addicting and make you want more food. That one I don't deny that one at all. That one it would make sense. It would make sense.
From what I figured out, it's referring to the orbs that are
Wouldn't be
seen in
surprised
photographs when taken in the sunlight. So, dust, particles, things.
And that's coming from a man who eats a lot of sugar. And I'm not saying a lot of these ones. I'm not saying that they're true. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they happen. Like it makes sense why it would happen.
Such as, but the conspiracy says that it is a
Count. Can we get and things such as counter at the bottom of the screen, please?
paranormal or supernatural occurrence. So yeah, the New World Order. For those that aren't familiar, in the Book of Revelations in the Bible, it details that there will be a one world government or one world order in the end times, and this will be in much more specific detail as we get later on into the iceberg. But at this tier, it's basically just referring to the idea that all governments want to come together to make one government. I know I keep
that one. I think has some truth to it, kinda. That like the UN and governments like that have a certain agenda that they go towards and stuff like that. I don't believe that it's just gonna be like a new world order. I don't think any world order would be able to come together with different ideologies and stuff. That any actual world order would be able to come together and secretly control the world. I don't believe that one.
like advertising later into the iceberg, but there's good reason for it. Some of the ones down there are insane and get into specifics of how one world government can be achieved, things such as. Next is the Nibiru Cataclysm. Nibiru
This
is
is
a
Planet X.
or also known as Planet X.
Yep.
That was predicted by a scientist in 2003 to collide with the Earth in 2003. So pretty well debunked. But
Right.
the term is still used to apply to an idea that a meteor or any other body could hit the planet one day and kill us all. Now we get
that's
into
just a
fun
fact.
stuff. The Bilderberg meetings is an event that really does
This one's
happen
insane.
every year, in which Western economists meet
Just
with European governments
Meet together, not allowed to take
discuss
notes.
capitalism
No
in the West,
press.
from all the evidence I could find.
That's not suspicious at all.
Obviously, there are several theories that come from this, especially since the fact the press isn't allowed and there are no notes to be taken. So a group of world elites talking behind closed doors and
No press and no notes. That isn't suspicious at all.
transhumanism is
Why did you get out of full screen, sir? Can you like load my fucking ad? I'm sorry I'm not rich. I can't afford YouTube Premium yet, so we're getting ads in YouTube videos. I'd like if you would load my video here, please. I'm trying to make a thing called a reaction video. That'd actually be really helpful. There you go. Transhumanism.
It applies a lot to anarchist rings, oddly enough, and it's essentially the idea that humans can be further expounded on or bettered through augmentation of computer parts and like cybernetics and things such as.
And things such as.
Black-eyed kids is a recurrent.
This is more of a
phenomenon
creepypasta
in the
than
natural
anything.
community of small children appearing with blacked out eyes. You can follow this rabbit trail pretty far, but pretty much surface level, it's just creepy kids who appear whenever tragedy happens. So people chalk it up to ghosts or extraterrestrials or what have you.
Makes
Next
sense.
is Antarctica, which there is a slew of Antarctic conspiracy theories. Everything ranging from giant holes appearing in the middle of Antarctica to government bases. being
What was
abandoned, to that's where the world elites hide.
What was that guy's name? Oh, he'll mention later in the iceberg.
For those of you that don't know, before the Columbine shooting, the two shooters made a series of videos
And
detailing what
they
were
were
gonna do, how they were
lost,
gonna do it, and generally
but
talking
they
about
randomly
how
pop
they
up for
think
somehow,
people
which means
are
someone has
still,
them.
and there needs to be a cleansing and things such as. These tapes still exist, although the conspiracy resides in no one knows who has them. However, randomly portions of them will appear online,
Right.
leaving people to believe that they're out there, maybe exchanging hands, but no one knows where they're at. Next up, we've got
That's
Operation
weird.
Northwoods. This is a
I know what this one.
well-documented case, but essentially during the Cuban Missile Crisis, there was reports put out by the CIA that said to warrant a war with Cuba, they should commit acts of terrorism against U.S. citizens and then blame them on Cuba to justify a war, which...
I mean, that's not suspicious at all to any other world events. That would be a thing that the government conceived and was only shut down because Kennedy didn't said no. You know, I mean, that's not suspicious at all. Because definitely does not bring suspicion to every single event that's happened in America since then.
Yep. Next up is PSYOPs. This is also well documented. Just the fact that specifically the U.S. government, as well as other governments, is known to employ psychological warfare, from noises to conditions and supply rations and things like that. The Bella incident is an event occurred off the coast of South Africa in 1979. What happened is a system of satellites known as the Vela satellites captured two back-to-back giant flashes for seemingly no reason. However, after reading into it, it was probably just an unsanctioned nuclear test because this satellite system had caught them before and they looked similar, and the whole conspiracy was just because there was no scripted test that day. So yeah, probably just nuke testing. Next we have giants. While this one seems
Giants.
vague, later tiers get into it more specifically, but essentially in the Old Testament of the Bible there are several references to giants.
The beginning. This is the beginning of the giants
Obviously,
meme.
today there doesn't seem to be any. However, this conspiracy, as we get into it later, applies to the deep state.
To everything.
And things such as, so I don't want to spoil
And things such
anything
as.
yet, but this is a good mention that Astra Smart, so to speak. We'll get to it later. Padma McCord is an interesting one. There's a lady online by the name of Padma McCord who owns, for some reason, thousands, if not millions of URLs.
But it's just her face photoshopped on other women.
Looking at this on the outside, you'd say, oh, it's some company using the name or whatever, until you go to the URLs and it's just pictures of her face photoshopped onto other women for some reason. And
That's
every
really
one of
weird.
these websites has millions of backlinks to other websites, which someone who knows tech may know more about it than I do. I have no clue why. It's just creepy. The Elisa
Very creepy.
Lamb incident.
Oh, this
For
one,
those who
well known.
haven't trolled around on creepy internet videos,
Her last video is very ominous.
Elisa Lamb is, but it is a story that is worth your time. She was a college student, I believe, at the Hotel Cecile in California, who for some reason, it's seen in security camera videos, runs onto an elevator, freaking out, keeps jerking around thinking something's following her, runs to her room, and is never seen alive again until she's found 3 days later in the water tank of the hotel.
They noticed because
there was never any evidence.
they noticed she was in the water tank because people's water was turning like brown and red. They were like, "Yeah, why's my water red?" And they go, "Oh, let me look at the water tank. There's a dead woman inside of there." You know that kind of makes sense why the friggin' water's red. It's very creepy. Her last video is very creepy and stuff, and her whole story is really sad, and the mystery just doesn't make any sense. I think the theory that would make most sense in that scenario would be that she was experiencing mental issues and thought someone was following her with like she had schizophrenia or something that would make her incorrectly believe that she was being followed and stuff, and she threw herself in the water tank. The only problem with that theory is that how the hell do you end up in the water tank? How are you able to just a random person climb up on the roof and get in the water tank? That's not something a normal person can do, even if they tried, right? But that's the only theory that makes any kind of sense. That she went to a schizophrenic state or whatever, thought someone was following her, somehow managed to get on the roof, and somehow managed to go into the water tank, and then drowned. Presumably, that's the only thing that makes sense.
It's a killing. No one was ever found a connection to it, and it is one of the wildest videos ever to watch, knowing that she was never followed and there was never evidence of anyone following her.
Right.
It's really strange. I'll leave you to look into this one yourself, but it was one of the first videos I remember that kind of got me into this whole, I don't know, like creepy, dark web, whatever. The Terry Calico picture. This one's just sad. There was a woman named Terry
Turned up in like a parking lot, I think, right?
In the early 90s, and then a few months later, a picture of her bound and gagged turned up in a parking lot around the area she was kidnapped. It leaves a lot of questions of why the picture was left there and what any of it means, especially since it was just in some random convenience store parking lot.
Right.
But like I said, this is just sad. The
Right.
Mad Gasser of Mattoon. I have never heard of this one before until researching it, but apparently in the 40s there was a series of gas attacks that occurred in Mattoon, Illinois, which investigators mostly chalked up to mass hysteria and people who left their fuel lines running, but everyone who it happened to, which was dozens of cases, claimed that it was an individual that ran up to them and attacked them with invisible gas. So, yeah, have fun with that one. COINTELPRO.
I don't even know how to
Like
explain that one, Chief. Got an ad. Sorry, guys, I'm nervous. Okay, if you load the ads, normally it's the opposite way. Normally you like, normally your video buffers like hell, and then the ads come and they're like perfectly 1080p. I'm getting the opposite. I don't know what's going on today. Okay.
Northwoods, this one's pretty well documented and known at this point, but essentially, before the Patriot Act became a thing, it's evidence of the FBI illegally spying on U.S. citizens to gain information.
Don't doubt this one at all.
Yeah, government bad. The Mao-Yale connection. This one pretty much just says that the old communist emperor of China, Mao Zedong, was in secret connections with Yale University in ways to indoctrinate students and receive funding from them and vice versa. From what I've seen, it's mostly just conspiracy jargon, but you can check it out for yourself. The ICEBERG.
I don't know how to feel that one.
This is referring in the spring of 1992, there was a series of 6 murders of gas station clerks on the I-70 interstate, and no one was ever caught, but some sketches were given. From everything I've found, this is simply just a serial killer string that went unsolved. The Majestic 12.
We'll react to the serial killer iceberg if you guys want that.
A board member of 12 people put together by Harry Truman in 1947 to recover all alien spacecraft information and things such as. This relates back to Area 51, although it's a bit more specific in saying that there's a committee, so to speak, that looks over anything that happens with extraterrestrials. Also, Area 51 was also in this first tier list, but like I said, it's one of those that's so obvious.
Everyone knows Area 51, right?
About it. Red Squads are, again, a pretty well documented government thing that during the whole Red Scare of the 50s and 60s, there were groups of U.S. police officers whose sole purpose was to hunt down communist sympathizers and arrest them for whatever.
Yeah.
The Secret
makes
is really
sense.
hard to find information on because it's such a vague title, but given its italics, I think it's referring to a book that essentially is a self-help book that says, thinking certain thoughts deliberately will change the course of your life. So, not sure why it's on there, but, you know, we're still in tier 1, so whatever. Acupuncture is an interesting one. This relates back to the big pharma I mentioned at the beginning, and essentially says that acupuncture heals several diseases, but it is purposely put down and not given attention by mainstream media and doctors because it would put them out of business. So it's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. The Max Headroom incident
is very interesting.
In 1987 in Chicago, when 2 broadcast stations suddenly cut out and cut to a video of a man wearing a Max Headroom costume, which is a character from British television, who began talking random jargon and swearing, and then had someone spank him on camera, and then
in a maid dress.
Cut out. What's interesting is that there's never been anyone named a suspect.
Think about this, bro. How do you manage to hack into a television broadcast, do all of that on television, and not get caught? Like, that's insane. How are you not caught doing that, bro? It seems like that'd be such an easy thing to track down, but just no one knows. No one knows who the hell that was. I bet that guy is just... Yeah, like, imagine just knowing that you were the guy who did that and you never got caught, bro. That must be the best feeling in the entire world. The ultimate prank.
Found, and it's pretty much become a whole Reddit thread trying to figure out who this person was, what happened, and name them. So it's an interesting mystery to go on, but from everything
I wonder if the person will ever reveal themselves.
And then for the last one I'm going to cover in tier 1, we have the UN agenda.
I think this one's more likely than the New World Order.
Relates to Agenda 21 and other conspiracies, which I'll talk about more in later tiers. But the idea that the UN is trying to build itself towards a new world order. So that is the end of tier 1. Like I said, there are 10 tiers, and they just get crazier.
Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much the end of Tier 1. Tier 1 is mostly general stuff, you know, stuff that build up other tiers, but I think it was still really interesting, a lot of interesting topics still covered here. And if you guys want me to continue the entire Conspiracy Iceberg, make sure to like and subscribe, because I really want to do it. I think it would be really interesting to do the entire series on this channel, because it's something I'm really interested in. So, yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and also, obviously watch Wendigoon as well, his original video, and bye.